Next, we have a resolution recognizing Help Center for hosting Trinity Pride Fest 26. Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you, sir. I am introducing this resolution, as has been my custom and my practice, to highlight organizations and people within Tarrant County who are unsung heroes. Help Center is one such organization. Today's resolution recognizes Help Center for LGBTQ plus Health for its 3 decades, 31 years to be exact, of work to stem the spread of HIV and other transmissible diseases, to encourage safe healthcare practices, and to deliver medication to individuals and families that might not otherwise be able to afford it. So many of you may not be aware that as county judge, Mr. O'Hare is the administrator of all of the funding that this county receives for HIV. And we know things are tight in this economy and for this county. And here's a group preventing 200 new infections a year. So the Ryan White funds go to the highest elected official, this is in Texas, in the area of receiving the funds. So that's the county judge. He's charged with administering those funds in compliance with the Ryan White rules. We've had to dip into reserves, utilizing undesignated funds into the millions to keep this county running, underfunding or cutting services. But here's an organization that every single year, by averting new HIV infections, every single year is saving $300 million in medical costs, lifetime medical costs, right? Without a penny of taxpayer dollars. Seems to me our judge would have put this forward, but I did, because I believe that the Help Center should be lauded for the work they are doing, the award-winning work that they are doing in Tarrant County without spending one penny of your money. The resolution reads, whereas the Health Education Learning Project, HELP, was founded in 1994 by 2 Catholic nuns and a mother of a person living with AIDS to promote health and prevent disease. And whereas in 2017, HELP expanded its programming to include clinical services and rebranded as the Help Center for LGBTQ plus Health. And whereas these expanded services were developed in alignment with priorities established by the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And whereas in 2025, the Help Center provided HIV care, pre-exposure prophylaxis, PrEP, counseling services, and culturally affirming health care to more than 7,000 Texans. And whereas the Help Center delivered more than $70 million in medication, clinical services, and supportive care in 2025 alone, at no cost to underserved Texans. And whereas the Help Center is the only organization in North Texas and among only a few nationally to provide these comprehensive services entirely free of charge. And whereas African Americans and Hispanics represent approximately 70% of new HIV diagnoses nationally, yet account for only 33% of PrEP users. Whereas 67% of the Help Center's patients are ethnic minorities, demonstrating its success in reaching communities most impacted by HIV. And whereas, according to CDC statistical models, the Help Center's programs prevent more than 200 new HIV transmissions annually, avoiding more than $250 million in lifetime healthcare costs. Whereas the Health Center's clinical programs operate without a single penny of taxpayer dollars. And whereas the Health Center serves as a cultural home for the LGBTQ plus community and has remained an active and engaged community partner. Whereas the Help Center is the presenting sponsor of Trinity Pride Fest, the only LGBTQ plus pride celebration in Tarrant County, celebrating the contributions of LGBTQ plus residents, our neighbors, to our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby recognize and commend the Help Center for LGBTQ plus Health for its outstanding service, compassionate care, and enduring contributions to the health, dignity, and wellness of the people of Tarrant County. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 9th day of June 2026. I move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'll say a few words. I know a lot of folks came out today to speak on this one resolution. I appreciate that. Thank you for coming out and making your voice heard. The problem I had just like earlier, I know you had some problems with the resolution that I brought forth. For me, a lot of it comes down to that gender-affirming care. And while that sounds really nice, I actually think it does more harm than good. One of the speakers earlier was talking about how they should be helping. This is all about helping people. I agree. We should absolutely be helping people. I think the gender-affirming care piece actually does more damage than people realize. And we're starting to see that more and more with whether it's detransitioners, whether it's medical liability because children were forced into these procedures, forced into these situations, but before they could really make an informed decision, that's actually very much hurt these individuals. And so it's very hard for me to get behind anybody or any organization. I think there was even some information that they would help families travel out of state, give them money to travel out of state for some of this gender affirming care. And so that's just, to me, is I see all the shame signs and I appreciate that. But I think we're going to look back in 10, 15, 20 years and see the destruction that this gender modification push has done. You're already seeing it in Europe. They were kind of on the forefront of it, and they've really pulled back in the last couple of years because they see the harm that the puberty blockers and the cross-sex hormones and all these are actually doing to the youth. It's really doing some irreparable harm. And so I think as me, I can't in good conscience put the county seal or the county imprimatur behind an organization that seeks to actually do what I think is more damage to children and more damage to those than if you just kind of allowed them through some therapy and others to kind of go through that gender dysphoria until they go through puberty themselves without trying to stun it. So I'm going to vote no on this resolution. But thank you for bringing it. Like we've seen today, we can agree to disagree on things, but I can't in good conscience put my name in that.
So, a couple of things. No applause. One of the things that you stated a minute ago, and we can see from the room, this is an organized political stunt, which all that you ever do here is bring in political theater. And you made a statement at the beginning that all HIV-related funding is totally controlled by me, but for the fact that public health gets grants related to it, that I have the same equal vote you do, and you have the ability to vote on any HIV-related thing, and I think you've almost always supported it. But looking at the organization, here's one of the things it promoted, a fundraising concert to provide travel and relocation grants to North Texas families seeking out-of-state health care for trans and gender-expansive youth. Another thing it promoted was Happy National Kink Day. One person's kink may be another person's vanilla. NKD is devoted to exploring your boundaries, whether alone or with another consenting adult. Remember, what's adventurous for one might be vanilla for another. NKD is here to help you explore your desires, whether solo or with a consenting partner. Celebrating the diversity and resilience of non-binary individuals worldwide, Happy International Non-Binary Peoples Day. applying to trigender, polygender, genderqueer, pangender, demi-boy, demi-girl, gender nonconforming, agender, gender fluid, demigender. And I could go on and on. I'll just leave you with the last one. Celebrating Happy Polyamory Day. To all the beautiful souls out there, remember love is not limited to one person or one form. So for those reasons, I would tell you the core purpose of the Tarrant County Commissioners Court is pretty straightforward. Serve the people of Tarrant County through strong fiscal management, lower crime, open access to courts, and better governance. This court has focused on cutting taxes, improving county services, strong public safety, and bettering the lives of our citizens. It's not the business of this court to put the county's name and seal behind a divisive social agenda that glorifies a group that supports transitioning children. Our responsibility is to protect children, not sacrifice them in the name of ideological advocacy. Commissioner Simmons, your proposed resolution divides the very residents we are all here to serve, and that's why I will be voting no.
So as much as I hate addressing the obvious, this resolution is certainly not about advocating or supporting gender transition procedures for minors. The health center is not a surgical center. They don't serve children. Look, y'all's hyper-focus on children is interesting, and it ignores that let's talk about the safety of children. It ignores the fact, and I don't mean to be offensive, just talking to you about statistics, the number one buyer of children are heterosexual white men, this demographic. According to the U.S. Sentencing Commission, about 92% to 94% of defendants charged with federal child sexual abuse and trafficking offenses is this demographic. So let's be real. All right.
Any other comments from court members? Okay, so we have a motion and a second for this resolution. We've got 2 votes yes, 2 votes no. Commissioner Ramirez, are you a yes or a no? All right, it's a no. So this fails 2-3. Next, we move to a resolution, which is what we ought to be doing, recognizing Mayor William D. Tate for 50 years of exemplary public service as mayor of the city of Grapevine, Texas. Commissioner Kraus.
All right, we talk about sports in here a lot. You know, there's records that you talk about that are like, man, that's probably never going to be broken, right? Joe DiMaggio, 56-game hit streak, never going to be touched. Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowls, right? You have all these things. Well, I think we're about to honor a mayor who has one of those streaks. 50 years of service as the mayor in Grapevine. I don't know how many people have ever attained that and how many people will ever attain that again. So we thought it was only right that we brought Mayor Tate in as he's concluding this kind of half century in office as the mayor of Grapevine, to recognize him and appreciate him for all he's done during those 5 decades. So I'm going to read this, and then we're going to recognize Mayor Tate. Whereas Mayor William D. Tate has devoted decades of exemplary service to the city of Grapevine, Texas, shaping its growth, strengthening its identity, and guiding it into one of the most vibrant, prosperous, and admired communities in the state of Texas. And whereas Mayor Tate's leadership has been marked by vision, integrity, and an